Looking back at the flow of time, amidst the hazy layers of history, there are stories that seem to have been buried. Yet their echoes still resonate today, serving as a quiet reminder of the laws governing the universe. The story of the destruction of the Shakya clan during the time when the Buddha was still in the world is a heartbreaking testament that pierces the soul. In those days, there was a certain village where, due to a severe drought, the ponds and lakes dried up. The villagers, including the ancestors of the Shakya clan, worked together to drain the last remaining puddle to catch every single fish struggling for its life. Immediate benefit blinded them to the agony of those tiny lives. The retribution for that collective karma grew silently, waiting for the day when the right conditions would align for it to erupt. Many lifetimes later, that clan became incredibly prosperous. However, the shadow of that ancient evil karma was always lurking. When King Virudhaka, fueled by deep hatred, led a massive army to massacre the Shakya clan, the Buddha used his boundless compassion to intervene. 3 times, the enlightened one sat in meditation, under a withered tree without a single leaf to provide shade, right on the path of the brutal army. When King Virudhaka asked why he sat under a dry tree, the Buddha replied with compassion, "The shade of one's relatives is the greatest shade in life." Out of respect for the Buddha's virtue, the king withdrew his troops 3 times. But on the 4th time, the Buddha did not appear. He knew that the clan's accumulated merits were completely exhausted, like a lamp that has run out of oil. Whether there is wind or not, it must go out. The cup had overflowed. The evil karma of draining the pond all those years ago had come to fruition. The Shakya clan was brutally slaughtered, and blood flowed like a river. However, the wheel of cause and effect never stopped there. After satisfying his bloodlust, King Virudhaka held a celebratory banquet. That very night, his merits for being a king also ended. A fierce fire broke out, incinerating everything and ending a life steeped in cruelty. Reflecting on that downfall and looking at the reality of life around us today, the heart suddenly feels heavy. People today seem to be rushing into massacres without swords, trampling on one another and harming their fellow human beings. They step on others' shoulders to climb higher, snatching at fragile material benefits. There are contracts filled with cold calculation, malicious words used to bring down rivals, and despicable schemes used to destroy someone else's livelihood. All of this is carried out under the glamorous veneer of wisdom and success. People gloat when they see others fall and become arrogant when they reach the peak. They believe they are exceptionally talented, thinking that this universe naturally grants victory to the strong and the cunning. But behind such success, the Buddhist philosophy of when merit is exhausted, calamity arrives, provides a profound explanation. The wealth, power, or comfort that a person enjoys in the present does not necessarily come solely from their efforts in this life. It is the interest withdrawn from the treasury of merits they painstakingly cultivated over countless past lives. Merit is like a spiritual bank account. When someone continuously performs evil deeds or harms others for profit, they are not only failing to deposit any good merit, but are also squandering the meager balance they have left. Every time they trample on someone, a large amount of merit is deducted. Every time a deception succeeds, the protection of their spiritual shield grows a little thinner. When merit is completely drained, every invisible barrier of protection instantly crumbles. Calamity strikes not because an angry deity is punishing them, but simply because their spiritual insurance is gone. There was once a story about a wealthy man named Mittavindaka. He was born into immense luxury, inheriting a vast fortune thanks to deep merits from previous lives. With such a foundation, one should have known how to cherish and share it to multiply the blessings. But instead, wealth gave rise to bottomless greed. He looked down on the poor, trampled on the weak, and even abandoned his own parents. He was arrogant with the power of money, believing he could manipulate the whole world. When his last bit of merit was squeezed dry, while he was still breathing, the retribution manifested. A red-hot iron wheel, spinning and flaming, struck him directly on the head. The bone-deep pain bled out, and a shameful humiliation weighed down on a life that knew no limits. Then, as soon as his breath ceased, the gates of hell opened to receive a dark soul. The wheel of fire on that wealthy man's head, is it not also the sudden incurable diseases, the overnight bankruptcies, or the maddening anxieties that the cruel must endure today when their merits run out? Many people ruthlessly hurl bitter words or use schemes to seize the property of others, then take that dirty money to build grand houses and buy their children the best things in the world. They think this is loving their family, a sacrifice for the next generation. Sometimes they justify it by saying that the business world is a battlefield, and if you don't step on others, they will step on you. But do these calculations truly bring peace? Since ancient times, Taoists have quietly observed and formulated the theory of inherited burden, which is a profound perspective on the invisible bond between generations. Inherited burden, simply put, is a carryover. It is the idea that the next generation must accept and be influenced by the deeds of the previous generation. Unlike material assets that can be measured, this spiritual legacy is invisible, yet it carries a terrifying weight. When a person uses cruel tactics to strip others of their benefits, that evil karma does not just stick to them, it spreads and eats into the very roots of the family lineage. The tears of resentment from the victims and the desperate sighs of families driven into a corner all create a dark energy of hatred that shrouds the house and its innocent children. If one sows evil karma in this life, will the children suffer? The answer lies in the tragedies visible in everyday life. There are families where the parents hold high positions and have more money than they can count, but their children are born with strange illnesses that no treatment can cure. There are children who were originally bright and obedient, but suddenly slide into addiction, squandering the entire fortune their parents spent a lifetime of schemes to accumulate. There are even tragic early deaths and sudden accidents that take the life of the only heir. From the outside, it looks like a cruel twist of fate, but digging deep into the roots, it is the inherited burden that parents unknowingly heaped onto their children's shoulders. A bowl of rice soaked in the tears of others, how can children digest it and turn it into peace? The shadow of the tree of evil karma is too large, blocking out the sunlight and causing the young sprouts beneath to become deformed, sickly, or die young. We often ask each other if evil karma waits until the next life to be paid. Perhaps karma does not have a fixed schedule. There are seeds that sprout immediately after being sown. That is immediate retribution, the torment of conscience, the constant fear of revenge, and the sleepless nights spent tossing and turning despite lying on a gold-inlaid bed. That is hell, existing right in this life. There are also seeds that must endure a cold winter, waiting decades or until a future life to bear fruit. Just because you do not see it does not mean it does not exist. The universe is a perfectly fair machine. It does not miss a single thought, no matter how small. Every act of harming another is, ultimately, harming oneself and the people one loves most. Standing before the ruthless whirlpool of fame and fortune, if we quiet our minds and look back, we see that human life is truly fragile. Just one breath that does not come in, and this body immediately becomes ash. Wealth, fame, plots of land, and magnificent houses. In the end, they are all external things. You cannot take even a single cent with you. The only thing that accompanies the soul through the door of death is the karmic force of the good and evil deeds created in life. By deeply understanding these two words, cause and effect, and by understanding the exhaustion of merit and the inherited burden left for future generations, a person's heart will naturally soften, letting go of hatred and the drive for profit. Instead of using schemes to compete, why not use love to sow seeds? Yielding a little, or taking a small loss, is not necessarily a true loss. Every act of yielding, every sincere and selfless helping hand, is like placing solid bricks into the invisible treasury of merit. That is the safest insurance for the future. To love your children is not to leave them a treasure chest stained with sin. To truly love your children, parents must live an upright and honorable life, accumulating merit through virtuous deeds. The merit from the kindness of those who came before is the most miraculous shade, enveloping and protecting future generations. A family with a foundation of morality, even if not extremely wealthy, will see its children grow up healthy, with peaceful minds and a gentle life. That is the ultimate success of a human life. As night falls and the space grows silent, listen to the beat of your own heart and ask yourself what seeds you have sown for tomorrow. Please be gentle with your fellow human beings and gentle with yourself. Human life is already full of suffering, so why create more evil karma to torment one another? Just keep sowing seeds of goodness and watering them with compassion and tolerance. Then one day, the parched land of the soul will bloom with flowers of peace, fragrant for the world and for future lives yet to be known. May every step taken through this life leave behind marks of healing, not through conquest, but through a deep understanding of the eternal laws of the vast universe.